You are listening to Radio Alla Mundi.
Hi there, wherever you are. I'm Marco Rixecker, a freelance writer, reporter, producer, teacher, translator, tour guide, poet, singer, and songwriter. I speak several languages, and I'm the creator and founder of Radio Alla Mundi, an evolving podcast station where no language and all languages are spoken. It's a multilingual mix of music, poetry, lectures, languages, interviews, documentaries, recipes, and a lot more, co-produced with the students of the Alla Mundi International Cultural Center. You can find us on radioalamundi.bandcamp.com, podcasts.apple.com, Spotify, YouTube, Breaker, Player FM, Facebook. Search Radio Alla Mundi. One of the first things I learned about Rainworks is that the operation is made up of two artists with fascinating names, Peregrine and Xack Fischer. And I will never know if those are real names or chosen ones, whatever the reason might be. There is a positive vibe in their voices that I detect in our conversation, and it reflects an open-mindedness frequently associated with the Pacific Northwest. It allows me to switch from one topic to another, and often challenge them with some provocative questions and even tasks. In the process, we revisit some of their fondest childhood memories and one of the most iconic Bob Dylan songs from his early career. The three of us meet online from different places. Peregrine and Xack are based in Seattle, Washington, and speak to me from different locations in the city that appear to be workshops. But I get only a few glimpses of their backgrounds before we switch to audio to ensure better connection. Both are installation artists using one of the most prominent natural elements in Seattle as sort of a generator for their artwork, rain. They call it rain-activated art, or Rainworks, which is the name Peregrine has chosen for the company behind the operation when he founded it. He quickly teamed up with Xack, his best friend, to realize his goal: use rain to make art appear in public spaces seemingly out of nowhere. To make the apparent impossible come true, they use an eco-friendly chemical substance which makes artwork appear in a city known for its long rainy winters and wonderful summers. As a matter of fact, I have experienced all of it in Seattle and its surroundings when I stopped by for a couple of days as part of several travel documentary projects quite a while ago. So, the following narrative includes excerpts from a collection of testimonies and interviews entitled "Let's Talk About It Anywhere in the World," where it is all about people's voices, accents, and speech patterns, hand in hand with my own personal anecdotes and observations. In addition to that, people are allowed to introduce themselves in their respective, often indigenous languages and dialects, and to speak their minds freely without any paraphrases or expectations. So let the story go on from there. Actually, I'm not in Seattle when I learn about Rainworks for the first time. As a matter of fact, I'm doing some online research on a seemingly unrelated topic when I sort of stumble upon their website, https://rain.works/. But I end up feeling so intrigued that I browsed their website for a while and eventually sent them an email with an online interview request. Things happened quite quickly after that. Less than a day after my initial request, Peregrine gets back to me, and we set up a day and a time for an online conversation that will include his best friend and business partner, Xack. As a matter of fact, it all goes so fast that I have little time to really prepare the interview and end up dictating some questions I would want to ask Peregrine and Xack onto my smartphone while commuting on a bus the very day of the interview. They're just sort of a guideline, and then I usually go on from there in the course of my conversations with people. But generally speaking, one thing I leave unchanged is the fact that all the interviews start with the usual introductions, no matter what.
My name is Peregrine Church. I am located in Seattle, and among other things, I am the CEO of Rainworks, and we are a company that creates rain-activated art that only shows up when it rains to make people's rainy days fun.
Yeah, so my name is Xack Fischer. I am the co-founder of Rainworks. I'm Peregrine's best friend, business partner here at Rainworks, and a general enthusiast about making the world a more interesting and magical place.
So, this is a story about two Seattle artists who feel passionate about rain. Peregrine Church is an entrepreneur who has founded a company by the name of Rainworks. He has teamed up with his best friend and business partner, Xack Fischer. Their idea is to produce rain-activated art in their hometown in order to make its frequent rainy days more pleasant and fun. Their work includes slogans, sayings, symbols, and signs. And that is one of many topics we explored during an online conversation in the middle of an unusual summer heatwave in Seattle. How would you describe the current weather at your location?
Let me check the actual temperature.
Okay.
Oh wow. In Seattle, our summers are beautiful. I look outside the window and I see a blue sky, balmy 85 degrees, and the wind softly blowing through the trees. Summers are perfect here.
Yeah, people definitely always associate Seattle with rain and with kind of mist and grayness and cloudiness, but we do get a few good months of nice summertime, and we're kind of in the middle of that right now.
What's the weather going to be like tomorrow?
So right now we're kind of in the middle of a heat wave, so we're actually enjoying the sun for a little bit. It's really the fall, and like September and October is when Seattle starts to live up to its reputation of being so rainy and starting to really bring out the rain-activated art that we make.
Well, it really depends on where you are in the world, because some places are getting more and more hot days and some places are getting more and more flooding. So for us in Seattle, it's probably going to manifest itself as more and more heat waves, maybe longer, sunnier months, which could mean fewer months with rain. But when we do get rain, it'll probably be more intense.
Another aspect that could tie into this in terms of climate change, because a lot of areas like Pacific Northwest and Seattle here are becoming warmer and having longer summer seasons, we are also encouraging people to be creative about their placement of Rainworks during those warm months. You know, during the rainy season, we can make Rainworks all around the city and people are going to see them because it's raining. But during the summer, we try to be a little more strategic. If we are going to make Rainworks, we might place them near a swimming spot on a dock, or we might place them near somebody's sprinkler on their lawn. We try to think of those places where people already are using water during the dry season and have those be hidden spots to hide the artwork.
The city can have nice summers, unlike the stereotypical image of Seattle as a rainy city. The rains really start in the autumn, and then it can rain for weeks on end, pretty much throughout the winter. Both Peregrine and Xack are aware that long heat waves, intense rainfall, and frequent flooding are direct consequences of climate change and global warming. And that's the very reason why they try to deliver positive messages to make people's days a little better. It is all about making people smile through a concept they call ephemeral and impermanent art. It means that they have to come up with new ideas all the time, and their inventiveness is supposed to produce magic. What has been your most creative accomplishment lately?
Most creative accomplishment? I mean, I'm the proudest of the proposal. What do you think, Zach?
We did do a pretty extraordinary wedding proposal a few years back that was very sophisticated and complex, and it was a lot of fun. That's definitely a top one. There have been some Rainworks pieces that I feel like also felt like big accomplishments for us. We made a giant mandala a few years back that was just really massive and one of our biggest, I think, accomplishments in terms of like an individual Rainwork.
Xack's and Peregrine's comments include slogans and even a mandala, which generally is a sand painting not meant to last forever. And that instantly inspires another question I put to Xack and Peregrine. If you describe your artwork in general, how temporary or timeless is it?
A rainwork will last around 2 to 4 months on an average sidewalk, and that's with foot traffic and with regular rain. But we always try to document them so we can share them forever with all the people who love to see the art we've made. But in reality, yeah, they are pretty ephemeral. And it's also kind of magical because they, during the course of their lifetime, will appear and disappear with the weather.
Yeah, Rainworks are definitely an impermanent form of art, but that's kind of one of the things that we like about it is that A, you get to make a new design every year, you know, because as the old ones fade, you can put something new there. And also there's just something like special about experiencing the Rainwork, knowing that it is a fleeting piece of art that isn't going to be there forever, but you can kind of appreciate it while it is there.
For our online conversation, we have to switch to audio to have a better connection. But my initial questions take into account a visual element, a video clip, which can be found on YouTube and https://rain.works/. It explains the entire project of Rainworks and even includes Peregrine revealing a game of hopscotch on the sidewalk by pouring a bucket of water on it. He then skillfully hops along the squares, which inspires some of my earliest questions about games, as well as Xack's and Peregrine's backgrounds. What was your favorite children's game?
My favorite children's game growing up was called Everybody It Tag, where, well, everybody is playing tag, but everybody is it. And so you would run around trying to tag people without them being able to tag you, but if you tagged each other at the same time, it'd be a rock, paper, scissors, and then if you lost, you would sit down. Until eventually there's only a few people running around trying to tag each other, but the catch is every time the person that tagged you gets out and has to sit down, you get back up. So you can only win the game if you've actually gotten every single person out, and it's hype. It's so fun. I usually played it with groups of 10 to 20 people, usually either campers or fellow peers in elementary school.
I love all games. It's really hard to pick, and my mind's like reeling through. If I was going to pick one, though, it's kind of a made-up game. I was a big fan of the book series Calvin and Hobbes growing up, and Calvin had a game that he would play called Calvin Ball, where you made up the rules as you go along, and they're always different. And that was kind of the first thing that came to mind when you asked the question.
So, the general idea is to deliver a positive message to people. And it all comes with a healthy dose of humor. As Zach Fischer and Peregrine Church put it, the point is to bring a smile on people's faces. How do you intend to make people laugh or smile?
In general, we have 3 goals when it comes to the impact that a rainwork will have on someone who we either want them to smile, laugh, or think. And so that just means we try to make things that are beautiful, things that are funny, or things that are thoughtful in some way. So yeah, in general, we try to have a variety of impacts on people. So that's just the brainstorming process that we start at. That's the step we start at when we start to think of a new rainwork is what's going to make someone do one of those things. And from there, we come up with interactive games like hopscotch or the ground is lava, or funny jokes or sayings like there's no bad weather, only bad clothing choices, or beautiful things like the mandala that Zach mentioned.
And we love thinking of ways that people can interact with the Rainworks, whether that is like a design that's meant to be revealed on a sunny day by pouring water onto it in a particular way, or like a rainwork that's designed specifically for taking photos with, for like Instagram. We've definitely made a few that are like kind of meant for that like interactivity of taking a photo, sharing it on social media, and maybe having a friend pose with it. Like we've made some that say, you know, this is an awesome person with an arrow, and you pose your friend in front of it, and things like that, that we kind of get the person to complete the art by interacting with it.
So, in a nutshell, Rainworks comes down to symbols, patterns, sayings, and signs, which I asked Zach and Peregrine to choose some of their favorites from. What's your favorite symbol, pattern, saying, or sign?
That's a tough one.
Yeah. I don't know if I have like a current favorite, but but I can give you like one of them.
Sure.
One of my favorite sayings is, "Worry is a misuse of the imagination," which is what I tell myself when I find myself starting to get overly concerned about something that's coming up ahead, and I just tell myself, like, you can prepare as much as you can, and that's enough. You don't need to spend all of your mental energy just thinking about it. Worry is a misuse of the imagination. So go use your imagination to create. That's what I tell myself anyway.
Well, it's hard to pick, and a lot of the time, whatever design that we're currently making might have some reflection of kind of what we're thinking about recently. So like, you know, when I felt like I was seeing like a lot of tension between people in the country with everything going on around the election and stuff, like one of the messages we put out was just love all people, just this reminder to like look at everyone around and like give that unconditional love out. So like a lot of the time it's kind of topical like that. A similar message is that I've been thinking about recently is like seeing the good is a superpower. You know, that kind of acknowledgement, that recognizing and seeing the positive things around you instead of dwelling on the negative is something any of us can do, and it's something that is kind of extraordinary.
But then I sort of challenged Zach and Peregrine to look at their artwork from a different perspective and in a different way. I mentioned other elements, such as wind, fire, and earth, to make art with and from, and to activate art with. Both come back to the topic later in our interview, when they come up with a few ideas that might even become projects at some point. So there is water, wind, earth, and fire, and you use water a lot. What about the other 3?
Oh, Peregrine's going to love answering this question.
Oh my God, I love all sorts of art that interact with the natural world. One type of art that I do really want to get into is wind-activated art, which for a lot of creators is like kinetic sculptures, things that blow in the wind or transform through the power of the wind. I feel like Chicago might have had Poetic Kinetics come out at one point to make one of their giant beautiful displays. But Poetic Kinetics could do really well in a windy city with their amazing glittering sweeping pieces of art that like go from building to building with lots of colorful tails that blow in the wind as like a giant colorful river in the sky. If you haven't seen it, you should look it up. And I've also have played around with this could count as fire, but sun activated art, where I've found a wall in the shadow, in the shade during the day, and then I cross the street from that wall and set up mirrors that reflect the sunlight onto the wall to create little dots, and then I use those mirror dots to create different images. So that's an example of sun-activated art, wind-activated art. As for earth-activated art, I mean,
at one point we were experimenting with like moss graffiti and trying to do that, which we didn't particularly succeed with in that attempt, but we've explored that idea a bit.
So, as artists, Xack and Peregrine have also started to explore the use of other elements to make art. Wind could activate kinetic sculptures, for example, and the sun could be a tool to produce shades on the wall with all kinds of aspects and appearances. Another angle I use is sound, whether it's the sound produced by rain or sounds we tend to associate with it. What does rain sound like in Seattle?
Probably pretty similar to the way it sounds in other places. Kind of like this.
I think one misconception that a lot of people have about Seattle is that people picture it always raining really heavily here because Seattle has such a reputation around rain. But a lot of the time the rain that we get here is actually more of a light mist. So it's not as much of like the hard drops on a tinfoil roof as much as it's kind of the softness of a lighter mist.
How familiar are you with rain sticks?
My experience with rain sticks was probably in my elementary school when we were being introduced to different instruments from different cultures, and so we learned about different types of ancient percussions and also storytelling tools, and the rain stick was definitely used quite a lot as a storytelling tool, it seemed.
We have on occasion in the past, we've done kind of Rainworks unveiling events where after we install a design, we do kind of a public like gathering and maybe pull out some water balloons to reveal the artwork. And we have thought about different ways we can tie in kind of the rain theme, whether it's like picking out, songs that are related to rain or just trying to like, have various things around that kind of set that tone. Maybe we should get some rain sticks for the next Rainwork event. Could be a cool idea.
It could be fun.
Peregrine's and Xack's ways of describing rain in Seattle differ a bit, but are equally fascinating between an imitation of the sound rain makes and the use of adjectives like soft and misty. And again, just the youthful sound of their voices reflects their genuine intention to inspire people with positive messages and bring a hint of magic to people's daily lives. Rain is an element that has fascinated writers, poets, artists, and musicians throughout the ages. It's the reason why I also insert some related artwork in our online discussion. There is one of Bob Dylan's most poignant and wonderful compositions, for example, A Hard Rain's Gonna Fall, where the songwriter uses open questions to produce some dark and apocalyptic images. The beauty of Dylan's metaphors have frequently been compared with the poetry of Arthur Rimbaud. Metaphors are also present in Peregrine Church's and Xack Fischer's artwork. But their tool is not a guitar. It is an environmentally friendly chemical substance that makes their images and texts visible as soon as they come into contact with water. Anyway, each stanza in Dylan's song starts with a question which I repeat to Xack and Peregrine after having made sure They understand the context and my source. Both like the little poetic game and switch between one another by taking turns to answer each question. Oh, where have you been, my blue-eyed son?
Well, Xack, you have blue eyes. You should take this one.
I mean, I think we've been kind of all over, you know? Especially this week, Peregrine and we've been all over the universe.
We've been going around the world trying to make people smile.
What did you see?
I think one of the things that Peregrine and I see everywhere we've gone together and where we've been lucky enough to go through Rainworks is we have been lucky enough to see the goodness of people. And like we have been treated just so kindly by the people who have like been impacted by Rainworks. And that's what I've seen around the world, where we've gotten to go, is just the goodness of people.
What did you hear?
We've heard people get excited. We've heard enthusiastic questions. We've heard the sound of water balloons hitting concrete. We've heard the cheers of people excited to see the new art in their community. And we've heard a lot of good songs about rain.
Who did you meet?
We have gotten to meet a lot of wonderful people. Whether it's like the other artists who have used Rainworks, which have been like some mind-blowing people, and like students and cities and all sorts of interesting people, but also the people who have like reached out to us and seen what we've done and have either been inspired by it or just wanted to talk about it. So we've met a lot of really interesting, like-minded, creative people. So
what do you do now?
We keep making art, and we think about how we can use our platform to springboard Rainworks and ourselves into new, creative, world-changing endeavors.
Times are tough, and there are many international issues nobody can ignore. Climate change is one of them. It can affect anyone, anywhere in the world. At the time of our online conversation, a major heat wave is going on and causes a lot of harm and damage all over the Pacific Northwest. Rain being one of the natural elements, equally wreaking havoc in different parts of the world, and being key to Xack's and Peregrine's artwork. Issues like that end up appearing as an inevitable topic as part of our interview. How can you or your artwork save the world?
Like by itself? Probably not. I'm going to be realistic here. Art is cool, but saving the world is more of a job for communities and governments and lots of enthusiastic, passionate activists working together in order to solve the problems that are facing the world. But we're here to support.
And I wouldn't underestimate the power of being inspired and the power of feeling like there's still something to be discovered and something unknown in the world. I think that's one of the things that's so great about Rainworks, is that people see it and they're like, wow, I just didn't expect that. And like, people just want to know that there's still things left to be discovered in the world. And I think that is where Rainworks has a lot of power to change the world in a small way, perhaps maybe not completely on its own, but I think it pushes the ship in a good direction.
And so, it is all about feeling positive and making others feel positive. Many people tend to feel negative on a rainy day. There seem to be too many limitations, especially when it comes to outdoor activities. But rain can also be a lot of fun and may have a way of making people feel happy and elated. When are you most active, on rainy days or on sunny days?
Definitely both. One of our favorite things, like you mentioned, one of our favorite things about Rainworks is that the fact that it takes something that most people consider dreary, a rainy day, and gives people a reason to look forward to that. And I think that is just beautiful impact they can have. So in order to create that experience, we have to be busy on both days. We are busy on sunny days, creating stencils, going outside and making the Rainworks, because it has to be dry when we create them. And then we're busy on rainy days as well, going out and experiencing, enjoying the art that we've made, and taking photos and videos so we can share that art with people around the world.
So, rainy days tend to be tougher than sunny days, just because of some of the logistics involved. One has to anticipate more and think of raincoats, umbrellas, ponchos, covers, shelters, and whatnot. And again, it can rain for days and even weeks on end in Seattle, Xack's and Peregrine's hometown, which makes me wonder what they do to put things into a different and more relaxed perspective. So, how do you wind down at the end of a rainy day?
Well, I guess I'll start since I haven't heard Peregrine talking yet. I like to just hang out with my girlfriend and my dog, and I'm big on movies and TV shows, so I love just hanging out and taking it easy, spending time with the people who I care about, and just, yeah, enjoying their presence.
I love to wind down, like after a day full of working and creating, I love to wind down by spending time with my friends or my girlfriend or dancing or just relaxing and watching and appreciating some other art that some other people have made.
Peregrine Church and Xack Fischer consider themselves pretty much like anybody else. And so at the end of a creative day, they just love to hang out with friends, relax, take it easy, and enjoy artistic creations and cultural events. By the end of my interview with Xack and Peregrine, I asked them to do a reading performance of an E. Cummings poem about rain each, before we discussed the two texts a bit more. They loved this kind of interaction and conclude that they had never thought about the poetic potential of rain-activated art. They have to improvise a bit, given the fact that I send them the texts on a message board that doesn't keep the original page set up. But both do a wonderful job.
My name is Peregrine, and I will be reading an E. Cummings poem about the rain. In the rain darkness, the sunset being sheathed, I sit and think of you, the holy city which is your face, your little cheeks, the streets of smiles, your eyes half thrush, half angel, and your drowsy lips where float flowers of kiss. And there is the sweet, shy pirouette, your hair, and then your dance song soul. Rarely beloved, a single star is uttered, and I think of you.
All right. My name is Xack Fischer, and this is me reciting the E. Cummings poem, Somewhere I Have Never Traveled, Gladly Beyond. Somewhere I have never traveled, gladly beyond. Any experience, your eyes have their silence. In your most frail gesture are things which enclose me, or which I cannot touch because they are too near. Your slightest look easily will unclose me, though I have closed myself as fingers. You open always petal by petal, myself as spring opens, touching skillfully, mysteriously, her first rose. Or if your wish be to close me, my life will shut very beautifully, suddenly, as when the heart of this flower imagines the snow carefully everywhere descending. Nothing which we are to perceive in this world equals the power of your intense fragility, whose texture compels me with the color of its countries, rendering death and forever with each breathing. I do not know what it is about you that closes and opens. Only something in me understands. The voice of your eyes is deeper than all roses. Nobody, not even the rain, has such a small hand.
If the poem you've just read, respectively, was a question, what would be your answer?
You know, when I look at this poem, I think about the smiles on the faces who might discover a rainwork when I don't get to see them discover it. Just like that little moment somewhere out there in the world that I'm not even aware of, where someone is walking along with their head down, getting wet, and then they stop and have an experience which can be small but lovely. And it makes them smile, and thinking about that makes me smile.
Yeah, it's possible that even some of the lines from these poems have been in Rainworks before, because there have certainly been a lot of Rainworks poetry projects.
If that poem was a question for you, what would be your answer?
I gotta say, I love the route you're taking with this interview. You're really mixing it up, and I appreciate it. I mean, if this poem was a question, what would be my answer? Yes.
That's a great answer.
So, altogether, poetry is one of the topics we focus on the most during our online conversation, which causes Peregrine to conclude,
I have one more thought, because this has been a very poetry-inspired interview. You've got me thinking really poetically, and I just realized a beautiful thing about Rainworks that I'd never made a connection to before, which is the rain is so important for growth and for life. It is responsible for the lives of so many trees and other plants that grow on this beautiful earth. And I just realized that when we are putting down a rainwork on a sunny day, it's kind of like planting a seed that the rain will make grow.